2030.
2030.
Saudi Arabia, the public investment fund.
It's a
There's
big
a lot of
vision.
excitement
This
around
transformational
specifically.
change. Every aspect of the kingdom, economic, social, cultural,
The
religious.
2030. 2030. 2030.
This is the 2030.
Yalla, 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 yalla.
This is the 2030 episode 62. We think. Hello, Dr. Hanaa. We're so back. We're like back in the flow. How are you? Nice to see you again. What's up?
It's good to see you. I am doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited to be back doing this with you. We have had we should do a little mea culpa, but we've both had a crazy month. I was actually thinking right before we joined how much time we've spent in the air collectively. Like if you were to add up the air hours together in the last month, it's insane. It's like 7 days or something like that. Maybe not that much, maybe like 4 days, because you were in Seattle, you went back. I went to Saudi and came back. You went to Saudi and came back. And then you've also
Twice.
been elsewhere twice, right? Yeah, that's twice. So it's a lot, and we're sorry, but we are back. And again, it's nice to see you. Yeah, we've got a great show this week. We're actually going to do some catch up. We were sort of talking beforehand. We should be doing a little bit more news. A lot has happened in the last 3 to 4 weeks, and so to do only 4 news items might be a little short on all the developments. We kind of want to get caught up, but yeah, it's the 2030 season. We're back in our era, and yeah, it's great. I've got a little bit of feedback here, Hanaa.
Why are you laughing?
Well,
about
because
feedback?
you're going to find out in a second. But we did get a lot of feedback from people when we published our episode 61 a few days ago, being like, "Where have you been? What the hell is going on?" kind of thing. But also positivity about the show, which always helps. Thanks to everybody. But yeah. So of all the feedback that we've gotten, I'm going to read one, and it's for my intelligent co-host, Dr. Hanaa Al-Moabid from the Eastern Province of Saudi Arabia and also America in a way. This is 4 days ago. It's a comment on a segment we did about a year ago on Jubail, and how it's basically was the original Giga Project, etc. Here's the comment, Dr. Hanaa. This is from at Musaids. Congratulations for Miss Hanaa Al-Moabid, spelled wrong, but close. Excellent presentation. This is all caps, by the way. I'm not going to yell it. I'm going to kind of do a little voice intonation. Excellent presentation from an intelligent, intellectual young Saudi business lady. I am impressed. May God bless her in health and wealth, and in everything she does or perform in her life to come, inshallah.
I mean,
I think you have a fan. I think that's great, and I agree with everything he said. Thank you, Musaids, for the nice, thoughtful comment. There's also 3 celebratory emojis with the cone and the confetti coming out. So we need more comments like that. I mean,
look, I'll take it. I will say that it reminds me. It reminds me like way back in the day when I first moved back to Saudi after studying abroad. And somebody interviewed me for some Arab news thing, and I was quoted as like Hanaa Al-Moabid, a young Saudi girl. And I was so annoyed. I was like, what is that? Like, I have a title. I was like CEO of my startup at that point, and they called me, or no, I think I was VP of Content Solutions and Social Responsibility, actually. I later became CEO. But I was like, a young Saudi girl? He's doing it again. Young Saudi businesswoman lady. Like, what is that?
But hold on a second, though. The use of young in this,
I'll take it.
20 years after. Yeah. So, okay. So that somebody calls me young. I'm like, oh, damn, thank you very much. I mean, yeah, I guess. But no, I
obviously think, 20 years ago, I was really upset, but.
Yeah, that was
today.
kind of not a cool thing for them to say, young girl also kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know about girl. Yeah, like to be called a boy, similar thing. But yeah, that's kind of
Nobody
not cool.
calls guys boys.
I call every friend of mine boys. So, I think that probably annoys you as well. But yeah, but no, nobody would say, oh, Lucien Ziegler, this boy podcast host. I mean, it makes me seem like I'm like a Twitch guy, with the E stream or whatever. But anyway, thank you, Musaids, for that comment. Yes, everything you said is great. Health and wealth and everything she does or performs in. in your life to come, inshallah. Tell me about
I
your
mean,
experience. Huh?
like amen, like inshallah. That is like
Is-
I hope that I'm blessed in everything that I do, right? Inshallah.
y- Yeah, I hope so. Tell me about, you were just in Saudi for the Learn conference.
Hmm.
Give me the,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's get some updates for the boys
Great.
and girls out
Yeah.
there.
So this was the second edition of the Learn conference. It's an kind of this edition was sponsored by the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, MCIT. The keynote kind of speaker, the first session was kicked off by the Deputy Minister of MCIT, whose name, my goodness, why
Abdullah
my
Swaha
brain?
is the minister, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
Did
the
he
deputy
talk or no?
minister, no, but the deputy minister, the woman named Safar Rashid, was there, and she was fantastic. I really enjoyed her interjection and just kind of her take on the importance of education and technology, and that's kind of the angle that the entire conference had. And actually, what was really interesting was how we spoke primarily about humans and the role of humans within education, considering the rapid transformation that happens within the digital world with tech and AI coming into the education space. Like, how can we remain human in the face of all of this and make sure that we really understand what makes us unique to machines? And so it was a very, I think, important conversation that we had across pretty much every different angle that you could get at within education and technology and the intersection of the two. So it was great. I participated on 3 different panels, 2 as a speaker, and I moderated one. The one I moderated was actually really fun because we played a game of Mythbusters, where we talked a little bit about some of the key myths and misconceptions and misunderstandings and hype that have to do with AI in education and skills and training. And so it was a great panel. And then I also talked a lot about storytelling on a different panel and how it's important to understand the narrative of change when you are going through a transformation, and how to tell that story to get people on board, to get buy-in, but also to reduce fear. And storytelling is such a innately human attribute that it's important that we keep that alive and really use it to tell the story of integrating technology into education, but also, dealing with the changes that are happening in the world of learning and teaching. Yeah, that's it. That was Learn.
That's it. Okay. No, that's awesome. It was just, as you were talking, I was kind of thinking about this post that I saw recently on social media. So the social media as a news source, or like as an information source, and then usage of social media is trending down really for the first time since its launch. And usually what has happened over 20 years is social media comes and then a new network comes, and it kind of builds out the number of social media users grows with each new platform that speaks to a different audience, younger audience, etc. And this year it has trended downward. And I think one of the reasons why that is happening is because there's a lot of frustration with how much of social media is AI. And one of the comments on the post said, what I see happening here is, if this trend kind of continues, people will start to decouple more and more from social media and from online experiences, because it just increasingly seems fake to people. If you are going on to LinkedIn, for example, and every post is a AI written self-congratulation, how useful is that for you? I think human behavior kind of not tied to education as much, but the way we sort of interact with other people, the fear was that everybody would just be on their phones and everybody would be on social media and no one would be hanging out with each other. And then COVID came and that was kind of exacerbated. And, I think that when you deal with education and classrooms and learning, you can either read and you can, type and be interfacing with the computer, or you can be getting a lecture, you can be getting a in-person experience, you can be learning from other people. And the way that we deal with other people, we just learn a lot quicker, I think, than, we would learn just by reading some AI post, because we're getting so much that's not there, color, feeling, etc. I don't know anything about education, but that was my thought on your Learn conference and and your experiences there. But I'm glad it was awesome. And how was Riyadh? Was it great?
Yeah,
Just
so
say
I
great.
was in Riyadh for the conference, which was 3 days, and it was great. I actually was there with some friends from the industry that are from the UK, so it was really nice to be able to, as much as we didn't have a lot of time outside of the conference, and not everybody was there for all of the days. It was great to kind of share Saudi with a few of the people that had come there for the first time, and their takes on it. And actually on the storytelling panel, like it was but we all knew each other, and that was
That's the best.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's the best.
It was
Yeah.
really good, and we're all very different in terms of what we do in our kind of roles within education, but it's just so nice. And so Jane Nash opened, and she's the co-founder of Narrative UK, which is an organization that helps you tell stories, and they work with different entities in different levels, but they're incredible at helping people really craft a narrative and a story. But she started out and kicked off the panel with a story about her kind of experience of coming to Riyadh for the first time. And so it was really just it actually brought tears to my eyes. It made me emotional. And
Whoa.
even
Cool.
she's incredible at storytelling, but also this idea that people are, experiencing Saudi for the first time still makes me emotional. It still makes me happy, and it makes me feel like, just it's a great way to exchange knowledge, and change kind of happens when things are in transition and transforming, and it's a really exciting time still for me. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's exciting in general. I mean, it's cool. The vision's cool. Like the transformation is cool. Subject of the podcast, but it's really it's so different now, which means the vision's working. But it's also just like it's wild to see that in just a small amount of time, still ongoing. Obviously, everybody that's listening to this knows, what I think. But yeah, that is cool. First timers to Riyadh, first timers to Saudi. I had some friends visit last year. My family is moving back in 13 days, inshallah.
Wow,
Yeah, so
that's
we'll be back.
soon.
Yeah, it's soon, right?
How do you feel about that?
I am stoked. The children are more excited than I am, as is my wife. They love it in Riyadh, and I need to be there. I mean, I love being here in St. Michael's, Maryland, but it's getting cold, and I love being there, especially in the fall, winter, and spring. And
You're
yeah,
like
very
a
excited. Yeah,
fair weather Saudi fan.
they call them snowbirds in the U.S. The guys that go down to Florida, Saudi is my
Mm-hmm.
Florida. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
and we're excited. We have our apartment and flights and everything. The flight's going to be an experience. Baby George is that we have to wait for him to get his 1 year shots, which is the day before Halloween. And since the day before Halloween, we're gonna stick around. Halloween's amazing here, and then we'll all jump on a big old plane. The kids will ask, "Are we there yet?" 20 minutes in, after the excitement of the airplane and the airport is over, and then there we are. So yeah, I'm excited, very excited, and yeah,
Is Baby George walking?
he is walking with assistance. Like,
Okay.
we'll hold his hands and he'll walk. He's crawling around everywhere. This is the age where like everything is interesting to him, and he's
Yeah.
super interested in the
So
bigger kids.
cute.
So he's just like, you pick him up, he wants to be picked up and carried around, but then he wants to kind of fidget out and touch. He loves my computer and keyboard and my desk. It's his favorite thing.
Well, clearly you give it a lot of attention, so he's like, "There's something
Whoa,
here."
okay, we went there. Okay,
Oh.
yeah, no, it's a
I
bright
didn't
screen.
mean anything
Okay,
negative.
it's got some cool buttons. No, I understand. It's fine. But yeah, no, he's great. They're gonna love it. This is actually his second time there because we brought him over when he was like 3 months old. But anyway, yeah, one more piece of feedback because we talked about this a little bit before. Sorry for the long intro, everybody. Whatever.
Yeah, it's been like 20 minutes of us talking.
Yeah, how long is it? 14 minutes. Whatever. Just fast forward.
Shots forward.
Marwan K writes, glad you guys are back! Exclamation point. How do you guys choose news items for the show? Do you have a process for that? Can I submit news to you? AI, man. No, I'm just kidding. No, so we well, it's tough. Something like this week is tough, right? Because we've missed a lot. There's a lot we want to get to. We don't want to like just, we were gone, so we want to skip over some things we like. But No, we talk about it beforehand. Like we have pre-show meetings and we sort of think about like what is going to make sense to include, because presumably not presumably, the data says that about half of this audience that we have here is half is in Saudi in the region, the other half is outside of Saudi and mostly in the US and UK and Europe.
And
But
Singapore.
basically, sorry?
And some in
At
Singapore. Quite a few in
Singapore,
Singapore.
we do. It's weird when you look at the
No,
geographic
it's
because
not
it
that
breaks it
it's
down.
not that weird though, because like I want to say that, and I was just like a little shout out to our listeners in Singapore, is I know that it started when I went to Singapore last year and like I presented and I was like, hey, and I have a podcast, and then ever since we've had some really loyal listeners from Singapore, which makes me really happy. So
Yeah. The countries, it's over 100 countries. Some of the countries I'm like, whoa, someone in like Barbados is checking out the 2030, interested in US Saudi trade and relations and the development of the transformation. Yeah. That's awesome. But anyway, thanks to everybody for listening. So no, we do have a process. We talk about it. We want to get to the news that we're gonna have a lot of news that's kind of like you would pick up the Reuters and read this week, because there's a lot of stuff that is significant. We don't want to not talk about it now and then, not then talk about it later kind of thing. But we do try to find the stuff that is interesting and that goes outside of that box, and then add some commentary that, just our opinions that hopefully add color for people. But yeah, that's hopefully that. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that in terms of how we do that? But that's kind of
yeah,
it.
I mean I think we talk about the news that we think is interesting to people that we also have a take on, right? So I mean, we could sit here and talk just about business news or just about like education news, but instead we do try to cover multiple things. But I think that it's usually something that we have an opinion on. But I would say that if you do have news that you want to submit, please like send it our way. We love feedback, and if it's something that you think should be included, we're happy to look at it.
Lucien at the2030.com and Hanaa, 2 A's, the2030.com. Let's
You
get
can't
to
just say 2 A's because it's like Hanaa. There's 1 N, 2 A. Could be Hanaa. Like, no. You have to spell it.
And I remember when we were first connected around a conference, we had to do a pre-call. We were going to do an interview. People know the story. And we had our first call. And I was like, how do you say your name? Hanaa? And you're like, no, it's Hanaa. I was like, oh, sorry. Well, it's spelled Hanaa, could be Hawaiian. Anyway, it's not.
Can I
Saudi.
say one more thing?
Hurry up. We're 17 minutes in. No, I'm just kidding. No, take your time. Yeah, whatever.
My birth certificate, there's an apostrophe in my name. HANA''A.
Why? I mean, or why don't you have it now? Who cares? Do you take it out?
I took it out. I made a conscious decision once to be like, the apostrophe is too confusing, because I used to spell my name out to people when I was a kid, be like HANA''A. And then people in America called me Hanaa. So I was like, okay, we're getting rid of the apostrophe. Because like, what does that mean to anybody outside of the Arab world? And so, because in Arabic it is Hanaa. There's a at the end. Right? Hanaa. But I also don't say Hanaa. I say henna, because that's how you say henna casually in kind of spoken Saudi Arabic. So my name is pronounced in multiple different ways, but I respond to Hanaa. I'll respond to everything other than Hanan, because that's not my name. And I also am not Hela or Hala, because people just don't read all of the letters sometimes, and they call me Hanan, Hala, and Hela. Hanaa, Hanaa. I'm good with those. So.
Yeah, I think that if you have a name like Lucien or Lucien, I accept both. They're both the correct pronunciations. Or like Hanaa with 3 A's out of 5 letters kind of thing. You got to have some flexibility. I'm obsessed with the idea of people rebranding themselves and like giving themselves new names. Like, when Chad Johnson became Chad Ochocinco. Based on his number on the football field. I mean, like, I think that is so wild that people do that, but we got to get into more, when we haven't gone into a 20-minute intro about the decision to remove the apostrophe, because that's like kind of a big call. But yeah,
it was not that big of a call. I'm just like, no.
Yeah. Okay.
But I recently found my birth like 10, 15 years ago, but I recently found my birth certificate and was like, oh,
That's
Forgot the
right.
apostrophe.
Well, thank you
Anyway.
for, removing it because it would be so hard for me to get over. Like I would always say Hanaa, like I'd always do the Hawaiian or whatever the Arab deal. Anyway, deep dive time.
Moving
Should we
on.
do
Yeah,
another
let's
20
get in.
minutes talking about whatever apostrophes and stuff? Let's do it. Okay, deep dive episode 62. We're back, Hannah. We do have a lot. We talk about Saudi Arabia being kind of nonstop. I mean, of course, September at the end of August, early September, when we took our break, that's usually when things ramp up in Saudi after a long summer. Of course, that happened again this year. A lot has happened. How do you choose? Going back to the question we had earlier, how do you choose news? How do you choose a deep dive when you have that much time off? I have done several deep dives on some of these long flights that I've had. It's a great flight activity because you're focused on it and you can kind of get into the details and thinking about it in a way that is just kind of different. So I love doing that on flights. I have several we're going to roll out, but none of them are really time sensitive. And I didn't want to do anything on golf. Like I have a really good one on golf and I didn't want to just come back and talk about golf. I'm sparing you and Abdul Rahman and these people that are like, stop talking about golf, please. I haven't played much golf this summer, so I'm going to try to throttle that back. But there are developments in that space. I think so, and pretty much all of my deep dives that I've already written or thought about, I'm sure you have some as well. They're all, of course, riveting, fascinating. But we should do something new with this one. And this is actually news. There's kind of a new Giga project coming to Saudi Arabia. I think it brings it up to 6 or 7, depending on how you define it. And actually, this one is hard to define right now as a Giga project because it is a massive, it has to be, but there's no price tag to it. I'm talking about, of course, the new King Salman Gate Mecca development, which was announced like 3 days ago. It's basically, just trying to describe it in layman terms, it is a totally new expansion of the Grand Mosque, which is the Masjid al-Haram. Oh boy, was that okay? Okay.
Yeah,
In Mecca.
perfect.
Yeah. And they're calling it King Salman Gate. It looks really amazing. And it looks I don't want to say overwhelming, but I mean, it is a transformation of the area around this holy space for followers of Islam. It is going to be 12 million square meters. That is 4.6 square miles of development. And what's cool about it, obviously when you have something that big, it's got to be mixed use, prayer areas, residential units, hotels, shops, commercial, cultural facilities. I mean, the whole thing. That's a lot of space to work with. So you want to try to fix everything into that. But it is really cool because it's both a restoration of heritage sites that are all around that holy site, and then a lot of new. And if you have seen a picture of it, you know what I'm talking about. We will obviously have it if you're watching this. It's not a facelift. I mean, it's a new. It's going to make it almost unrecognizable from what it is now. I think in a really cool way. My opinion as a non-Muslim doesn't really matter, but I think it's awesome. The project is going to be led by the Ruwa Al Haram Al Makki Company, owned by a tiny sovereign wealth fund known as the PIF, and it will restore 19,000 square meters of heritage sites, which I actually think is the coolest part of it. I mean, I'm a big kind of new development building guy, but like, I think restoration of heritage sites and ancient sites is really cool. I think it is great for tourism, which I'm going to come back to in a second. 300,000 jobs expected to be created. I mentioned this just a second ago. There is no price tag for this. It was announced a few days ago. We know it's PIF doing it, but there's no, and Giga projects typically don't have that price tag rolled out. I remember that New Maraba with the New Macabre had a kind of a vague price tag attached to it, but that's not the point. So I think this is going to be lumped into the Giga projects. I think it deals with a very important site for followers of Islam. I think for Saudi strategically with what it's doing with its economic development, I think all of that is important. I think it's really what they're doing with this is they're doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on religious tourism and religious tourism infrastructure. They're aiming for 30 million pilgrims by 2030. They're kind of on their way to that, and this is definitely going to help. But the idea is that you need to accommodate these pilgrims that are coming, and you need to provide to them services and restored heritage sites that are important to the religion and the culture of the area. I think it's cool. I think just quickly, a few thoughts and kind of center it in what's going on with the kingdom economically. And I'll try to make this shorter than typically my longer deep dives. And then I'll get to golf at the end. No, just kidding. Obviously this means religious tourism is kind of like, they're basically focusing on this as a, definitely not new. It's been part of the vision, but I think they're emphasizing this as a growth engine for the vision and what it aims to achieve in 5 years, 10, 20, 30, 300,000 jobs. I mean, that's huge. That's a lot. That's a lot of jobs. And I will, of course, defer to my labor sector expert, the 2030s labor and skills upskilling development expert we have on the show. But I mean, that's a lot of jobs to add to the private sector, and it will be private sector jobs that are created. Urban infrastructure upgrades, living environment upgrades. This is all part of the vibrant society, pillar of the vision. There's three. And, I mean, what you're creating here really is a place to live and work, as well as visit and pray and be part of the Hajj and these other pilgrimages. I think that's awesome. And then again, I mentioned it, heritage preservation, but with modernization. I mean, you look at the photo and you see modernization, you see these new buildings that are going in. It looks cool. It kind of looks like almost like an organ, like a pipe organ, a little bit, like kind of in the area around the Grand Mosque. I don't know how to describe it. Just look at it. It's cool. But I think the heritage preservation piece is huge. I mean, it demonstrates this kind of effort to balance the modernization going on, but like with the Saudi identity, the cultural and religious identity that is key, and that is important for the leadership to not lose in this transformation progress. We talk about it all the time, but like, you don't want to just become some unrecognizable nation. You want to be who you are, but modern and accommodating of people coming to visit. So yeah, I mean, pilgrim volumes are already trending up, and they're kind of trending in the direction of that 30 million target. Of course, behind this and what enables this, right? Visa reforms, digitization, crowd management investments, all those things have made this experience a lot better and easier for people to enjoy, to access, and transportation investments, hospitality investments, infrastructure investments. Those are all kind of underway around what is being announced here. So PIF backing does not hurt on a project like this, because kind of gives it a quasi-private sector driver behind the scenes. I think this is cool. Before I kick it over to you, Dr. Hanaa, I mean, centering this announcement. So there's been a lot of talk about, budget cutbacks and adjustments to the fiscal policy of Saudi Arabia. We do have fresh economic data and a fresh look at the state of play economically in Saudi Arabia. Freshness galore on the 2030 episode 62. This plan was announced this week, and we also got a check-in from the Ministry of Finance, which was a budget estimate for 2026. Of course, that comes in December every year, but they in October, early October, late September, sometimes they roll out this forecast, and then they kind of work toward a final budget. The government estimates that budget deficit for 2025. So this year, the budget deficit widened to 5.3% of GDP, largely due to oil revenue being lower. The revenue for 2026 is expected to increase, and with a small decline in spending, but not much. So really what you have for Saudi Arabia right now is you have a kingdom that is going ahead with Vision 2030. It's spending what it needs to spend to develop this private sector and its contribution to GDP. And that is going to involve some debt. They, of course, have foreign reserves and other cash. So their fiscal situation is still very strong. But you have them saying, hey, it's not like it was in 2017, 2018. We're at that point where we need to make very smart decisions with what we are spending money on and how we drive this forward, because we still have these goals. We're not going to fall short now. Let's go with it. Something like what was announced with the King Salman project in the King Salman Gate. There's a clear revenue path for this project. I mean, you will have jobs and visitors, and this is going to be a huge investment, $1 billion investment at least, probably 10x that. But you have sort of a pathway to, hey, if we invest this now, this is how it looks 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now, what this means in terms of getting our money back. So King Salman Gate, cool project. Congrats. Excited to see details. Kicking it over to Dr. Hanaa now, but really cool.
Thanks for the deep dive. Yeah, this was like
You're welcome.
one of the pieces of news that we wanted to cover, and then decided actually this is big. So let's give it some more airtime. And I think that it's important to kind of note like how important this is because of, if you want to call it religious tourism, but because of the significance of Mecca and, the draw of that location for Muslims from around the world. Just this year alone, I think there was over 1.6 million people going for Hajj, which is the pilgrimage, just, during the very narrow window of Hajj that happens annually. But of course, you also have Umrah, which is, happening throughout the year. And they've, made it so much easier for people to come and perform Umrah, which in the past it was a lot harder. So Vision 2030 has really opened up the opportunity for people from around the world to go to Umrah. And I have met like countless people who, when they know I'm Saudi, say, "Oh, I was just in Saudi Arabia." And I ask them why, and they'll say that they went for Umrah. And I never used to encounter that before the vision. And so it's fantastic to know that there's um it's available to people on a much larger scale than it ever has been. And I think the other thing to note is that because of the sheer magnitude of human beings that are put into quite a small space, these types of enhancements and projects are actually necessary. So if you look at the safety record of kind of especially Hajj over the years, it's improved with infrastructure improvements. And so back in the day, before they changed one particular aspect of it, it used to be kind of a scary thing because there was like stampedes and trampling, and there's so many people and everybody speaks a different language, and it's difficult to communicate, and it's difficult to get people to listen and change course quickly without these types of kind of accidents. And so the infrastructure updates and improvements really help facilitate a safer experience for people that are going for Hajj, which is ultimately what we need. I mean, people can, hope and wish that things would always look the same, but the global population is increasing. The global population of Muslims is increasing, and therefore you need to be able to accommodate more people, and you have to adjust and modify in order to do that. So these types of projects are important, and the fact that they're incorporating preservation of historical sites into the project is really important. But I think, like you were saying, you're a big fan of new projects and new infrastructure developments. I do think that a combination of both is important. A recognition of history and the past is really important. And Mecca is an incredibly diverse, dynamic, really, really interesting, complex place with just so much history and just such a rich kind of tapestry of experiences that it's important to be able to kind of highlight that, but also to accommodate the number of people that want to come to perform their religious duties. And so it's interesting. I don't have that much more to add.
Excellent presentation from intelligent, intellectual young Saudi business lady, Dr. Hanaa. No, I think, so do you? Yeah, go ahead.
Just the last thing I was going to say is obviously this is an infrastructure project as much as it is a religious tourism project, and tourism in general is something that Saudi is obviously investing in significantly. And just this week, I read a report where the non-oil sector is growing and is expected to contribute 3.5% annually to GDP. So this is part of that, right? So definitely part of the Saudi economy, but at the same time, an important pillar within Islam that people, seek to experience their religious kind of faith through visiting these sites.
I think the point you make about safety, security, the experience, I think that's super important and interesting. I mean, I think that just hosting that many people every year, what they've done to transform that experience to be safer because it can only be so safe when you have that many people coming all at once. And then throughout the year, there's incidents. And then you have, of course, the Hajj happens in the summer sometimes, right? I mean, so like that's, a little bit dangerous when you're in Mecca. That they have done an amazing job when it comes to that being, they're scaling this sort of pilgrimage. I mean, like you said, there's more Muslims, there's more people coming, it's easier to come, you can get the visa. So it's like more and more are coming. It should be like a Harvard Business School case study on using digitization, smart planning, administration in general from a government side on managing that many people. It's the largest annual migration of humans on Earth. Unbelievable how they have managed it, because I think about that as probably being one of the toughest jobs in the world, because there's a lot at stake. And I just wouldn't want to do it. There's so much to manage and so many lives to preserve, right? And so many experiences to enhance. Anyway, I think that was a really smart comment from intellectual young Saudi business lady.
You're never going to let me live this down, are you?
He said lady, he didn't say girl. I think that's huge, right? Anyway, may God
my
bless you in
upgrade.
health and wealth and everything that you do.
I mean.
Let's get to the news.
Get to the news.
Renard is he has returned Saudi Arabia to the global finals, which is cool. Football / soccer. We're talking about Saudi Arabia, which will stage the 2034 World Cup, will appear for a 7th time next summer in North America. Mabruk to the Green Falcons.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I saw some pretty cool videos on social media. That's the team has really come along. Anyway, Saudi Arabia claimed a 0-0 draw, another riveting soccer match for everybody, with Iraq in Jeddah on Tuesday to seal qualification for next year's World Cup finals in just obviously the greatest country ever, United States, plus a few others, Canada and Mexico. I was expecting, he said, a lot of people, but the atmosphere was fantastic. You could see that on social media. The fans pushed the players, Renard said, even though Salam Al-Dosari got the man of the match. I think this evening it was the fans too. They call it the 12th man in football, real American football, where the audience or the attendees really make a difference. But yeah, anyway, this is a news item to congratulate.
Is that a thing? I thought 12th man was like specific to like one team. I didn't realize that it was like the 12th man was a thing in all teams.
So it's interesting you say that. Okay, so, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the number one team where the 12th man really matters, as you know, is the Seattle Seahawks, because their stadium,
I thought it was the Seahawks thing.
Yeah, no, they use it for pretty much everybody now. But they sort of started the phenomenon where the design of the stadium, and then also accusations of piping in audience noise with the speakers. But it's like, if you're a quarterback and you have linemen in front of you and wide receivers are 20 yards away, like, you need to tell them what to do and they can't hear you, you're at a huge disadvantage. So it's like, now you see the quarterbacks put their hands on their heads like this, and then they're basically using hand signals, which limits the number of plays that they can do because it's so loud in Seattle. And so now other stadiums have replicated that as a home field advantage. But I don't know how much it matters in soccer. I mean, Renard, I'm glad he gave the fans their due, but
Oh, it matters. Like, I think it matters. I don't know so I watched the match and the audience was out of control, excited about the entire, throughout the entire game. Jumping, screaming, and like even at halftime, like people, how like in stadiums here, a lot of times the second it's halftime, people like clear out, go get some refreshments and come back. Like, that wasn't even happening. People had the refreshments with them. They were just there. They were cheering. They were dancing. They were, it was great. So I think that that definitely gets people riled. I think it gets the players riled up. It really gives them the momentum that they need.
Yeah.
From
anyway,
what I can see, obviously I'm not like, I don't know if that, is actually that motivating. However, my son asked me today, because he has a match tomorrow for his soccer team, and he asked me if I'd attend. So like, clearly, he's like, I'd really like you to come and watch me play. So it matters.
Wait, but you would have done that anyway, right? You were gonna, or sometimes do you not go? I guess you're the mom. Yeah, I guess you're
sometimes
the mom.
No, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with being the mom. It's like we alternate weeks of taking him with another family. And so sometimes there's a game, sometimes there's not. And if it's their week and there's a game, sometimes he just goes, he's like, yeah, I don't care if you come or if you don't. But he asked me to come this time. He wants me to see him play in this bigger, like, so he's in the 11-a-side pitch now. And it used to be like, I think it was smaller, like 5, 9-a-side. I don't know, whatever. Like there were smaller pitches and smaller teams before, but they're playing full size pitch now that he's 12.
Wow.
So yeah, big deal. And he's a goalie, so like it's
see, that's cool. He's different than the other guys. He's out
he's
there
the
making. Yeah,
star. The thing
that's
is,
cool.
when you're the goalkeeper, like you're like nobody remembers how many goals you actually like block, but everybody remembers everyone you concede. And so it's like it's a tricky one if
Yeah,
people are keeping score.
Pierce is so into soccer right now. I mean, not like into watching it because there's basically no way that'll be on the TV. But he's like, he tells people his favorite sport is soccer. And I'm like, really? Not golf or hoops or whatever? And then he's like, yeah.
Why would
and
you
football.
not put soccer on your TV?
It's excruciating to watch. I don't know what I don't get it. I mean, like okay, maybe I'll walk that back a little bit. World Cup games where you got a lot on the line, a game like this where it's really intense. Okay, sure, yeah. But I mean, like just 0-0, right? 94 minutes or whatever it was, and the stoppage time drives me nuts. But like, with arbitrary ref really interjects himself into the story, but. No goals were scored. Okay, great. They were just, I got to see some action, man. I mean, I'm classic American. You said I'm the most American person you've ever met, but I got to see something's going to happen. 0-0 is not going to work for me.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
I see what you're saying. I mean, like, there was a lot, like, Saudi definitely dominated the possession. There were a lot of, like, near goals. It was really interesting to watch this game because you could tell how humid it was because the players kept slipping on the grass. And so you can see, like, I was like, wow, like, how did they miss that? And then it was kind of like, oh, like, actually, he slipped because, like, it's wet. And they looked really, 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 really sweaty right from the beginning. So I don't think it was just hot. I think it was humid. But that's just my take on it from watching it in my living room in London. So anyway.
From the comfort of your living room in London, watching a scoreless match. But I'm glad you saw history being made because I want to go see the Green Falcons live wherever they play in the United States. However, when is that released or the schedule?
It's going to be early, and I don't know if they're going to play in the U.S., Canada, or Mexico, right? Because we don't know which games are going to be where. But like I'm hoping that like the quarterfinal tickets that I have mean that I'm going to see them, but I'm guessing like maybe not. I don't know, but yeah. So I think you're going to need to like plan it early on in the tournament just to make sure that you get the game that you want to see.
Call my congressman. How does it work? I don't even know. Whatever.
There's a lottery.
Anyway, we'll figure it out. Yeah, but we'll try to do.
You're going to have to go secondary market now, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, okay. So my news, I'm going to pivot. I'm very excited about this news. The culture minister has announced the Riyadh University of Arts, which is very exciting. So the Minister of Culture, Prince Badr bin Abdullah bin Farhan, has announced the establishment of the Riyadh University of Arts, the RUA, as one of the most significant investments in cultural education for the kingdom. It's going to cater to all education levels through gradual phasing, but basically it's going to cover all subsectors and offer a comprehensive academic portfolio so people can continue their education in all different fields of arts, ranging from, kind of all of the different commissions and the Ministry of Culture. So architecture and design, culinary arts, visual arts, heritage studies, literature, cultural management, arts management, fashion, and more. And you will be able to go do short courses, but also diplomas, bachelor's degrees, masters, and PhDs as well. Over time, they will roll these out. The Arga campus in Riyadh is going to be the first of 3 colleges. So one for music, one for film, and one for theater and performing arts. And then they're going to expand to the 13 other ones. I'm super excited about this. Creative industries are growing in Saudi. The Ministry of Education just launched the I think arts and culture academies for fourth through eighth graders. So those are public schools that focus on arts and culture. There's one in Riyadh and one in Jeddah, and those will expand as well. So now at primary school, you can go in, or elementary as you might call it, you can go in and really focus on the arts and culture sector. So it's a thriving new sector, and now a university in Riyadh is going to take it to the next level. This is just really, really great news to me.
This is cool. RUA. Can we call it RUA, or are you going to do RUA? Like, is it going to be like PIF, or can we do RUA? Anyway, RUA seeking to contribute to the growing demand for skilled professionals in the cultural sector. That's a real thing. 7% annual growth is a target. And then another familiar number on the show, 300,000 new jobs over the next decade is also the target. And it's really a play to nurture talent. Which then ties into the economic situation in Saudi Arabia. I mean, again, skilled professionals means that the economy in the cultural sector the cultural sector in the economy's, cultural sector's contribution in the economy can be significant. And so, I mean, this is a perfect example. Marwan was like, what kind of news do you choose? It's like, this is a big deal. This may not have made your top of your feed necessarily, but I mean, this is huge, right?
To me, it's huge.
Yeah, to me too. To us, to the 2030. Yeah, it's huge.
So there already is a Royal Academy of Arts, like that exists, but this is a university, and so I think that it means there's going to be significant investment in both the instruction and the research side of this, which is, I think, just really, really great.
Get your popcorn out, Dr. Hanaa. I actually went to see a movie. I saw my first movie in a movie theater for the first time right before I went to Saudi Arabia, like a month ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. And it was a weird experience. I mean, I don't like movie theaters, but...
What did you see?
I saw the Downton Abbey new movie, which was...
Really?
Yeah. I'm a huge Downton Abbey guy.
That's not what I expected. Are you a Downton Abbey guy?
No, I'm a big secret... So, don't tell anybody, tell the listeners and you, but I love the period British pieces, I love Downton Abbey and the Gilded Age. Those are those were my favorite TV shows. I love the drama and the women just giving each other looks. I can't get enough. Right. But yeah. So
are you a Bridgerton fan too then?
No, that was a little weird. I didn't like that. I thought that was just kind of meh. But I mean, I know that was super popular. No, I wanted to be historically very accurate, and I think Julian Fellows nails that always, and I just love seeing that stuff. So, and by the way, if you hear a background noise, I'm sorry, the lawnmowers are here, even though the lawn isn't growing, so I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, this is about the film industry in Saudi Arabia, which has risen to lead regional box offices. The film industry has achieved remarkable growth since cinemas reopened in 2018, rapidly establishing itself as a dominant force in the Middle East in cinema. That is according to a report from Strategic Gears, which looks at the past success and future challenges of the film industry. Saudi Arabia had the highest box office revenues in the Middle East in 2024, which accounted for almost half, 42% of the region's total sales. Saudis are going to the movies, man. Industry revenues from ticket sales alone have grown substantially every year since business resumed. Harnessing pent-up demand from decades, rising from approximately 10.3 million in 2018 to 233 million in 2021, and then reaching 248.9 million last year. Wow, $250 million for the movie biz. Wow, so there you go. There's a Vision 2030 success story right there. Cool.
Yeah, and a clear demand for the arts and culture university, right? So that's where people are going to learn the skills that you need. I was actually at Learn, the conference, somebody had mentioned that in order to produce a film, you need something around minimum 50 different roles. And so that's including some of the more administrative roles that you could apply anywhere, but also the tech stuff that you need, plus the acting and all of that. So I think that just understanding all of the different dimensions of putting together productions like this is important, and that's why you need a university and a thriving training industry as well to support that. One thing I think is great and important to mention also is that the audience has a growing enthusiasm for Saudi content, like actual homegrown films, which is, complementing the international films. There's a demand for those, but the share of revenue generated by Saudi national films rose by 10 percentage points between 2019 and 2024. So there's more of an appetite, but also that means that there's more of an actual kind of growing base of talent where they're producing these films. So this is exciting. The upward trend suggests a positive return on government investment in local talent development and film production, with 35 Saudi films released in 2024 alone. And so, the Egyptian film industry has been a long leader in Arabic language cinema. Saudi's been getting more positive attention. But yeah, Egyptian films is, since the black and white era, the 40s, 50s, 60s, it was all about Egyptian films. And obviously until today, but it's interesting to see new players on the block.
Yeah. The Downton movie, by the way, you don't need to go to the theaters for it. I disagreed with the idea to wind up the franchise. Why do that? I didn't get that. It was okay. Anyway, that's my review. But anyway, this is really cool. Huge success story for the Vision. Awesome.
Very cool. So the next question I have for you is, am I the drama?
Cardi B.
Yes.
Yes, you are the drama, by the way. You are the source of drama. Yeah.
Global superstar Cardi B will make her debut in Saudi Arabia this December as part of the highly anticipated Sandstorm 2025 lineup organizers announced this week. So exciting news for Middle Beast and Sandstorm. It's the 6th edition, and it's going to feature a dynamic lineup that spans different genres and continents. It'll also feature, and I probably shouldn't even list who it's featuring in terms of
I don't think so. You're going to be listening. You're going to be, yeah.
I don't really know them, but there's a lot of there's some cool rappers that are going to be performing.
Well, you make them sound so cool. Yeah.
I do not sound like a young lady in this announcement. Okay, thanks, Mom. So since its launch in 2019, Soundstorm, is it the same? Yeah, 2019. Wow. Soundstorm, which is produced by Middle Beast, has become one of the world's leading multi-genre music festivals. It forms part of Riyadh's season and annual program under Vision 2030, as we know, that aims to position Saudi Arabia as a global leader in tourism, entertainment, and creativity.
Middle Beast is also launching a pool club in Riyadh, which I saw on social media. That is something you would not have said a few years ago. Also, how about a juxtaposition here, Cardi B and Saudi Arabia? I mean, this is that'll be interesting and very cool. The names that Dr. Hanaa, the young, intelligent Dr. Hanaa, did not want to say: Little Yachty, Miguel, Pitbull, Swedish House
Here
Mafia,
we go.
Tyla, Young Thug, Ava Max, Black Coffee. I've got a friend, white friend that I call Black Coffee, and Halsey. So for the younger audience, our audience is pretty young, younger than us, but you may know those names. Anyway, pretty cool. It's December 11th through 13th. I'll be there. Maybe I'll be soundstorming with the boys and girls.
Have you been? Have you been to one of the festivals?
I haven't been yet. I think that's going to happen this year. I've not been.
You better go.
Dope.
I've never been either.
Yeah, I've heard some stories from the original Soundstorms that are fun to listen to. But yeah, I mean, this thing is growing. It's not holding back. Cardi B will be in the house. Pretty cool. I think I'm gonna check it out
Eminem was
this year.
there last year.
People loved him. People loved that. I mean, at least the people I talked to. Anyway, moving on to my specific professional area of focus and personal. Riyadh Fashion Week, which will open on October 16th.
Opened already, yeah.
It opened. Oh, yeah, that's yesterday. There you go. Well, welcome, Riyadh Fashion Week, October 16th. It's here. Again, I didn't get invited. That's we got to talk to somebody about that. Returning for its 3rd edition, and it goes until the 21st. This 6-day showcase will feature more than 25 runway shows, 10 designer presentations and a curated showroom and citywide activations. The day began with an intimate Vivienne Westwood panel discussion at the Fashion Commission in Riyadh, focused on the brand's legacy of design, environmental advocacy, and craftsmanship. I
Is
can't
that
believe
funny?
it is funny because I don't know who that is. So
What?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that I
Oh
don't
my
know anything about
goodness.
this. Yeah.
Vivienne Westwood's like the original punk rock British designer. Like it's
Oh,
so
of course, that Vivienne Westwood. Yeah, yeah, of course. I made a joke earlier before we recorded about Fendi, and then you're like, no Fendi, and I was like, wait, is Fendi a thing? I think it's a thing, and you
Of
were like,
course
no, I just don't
Fendi
like
is
it.
a thing. It's
Okay,
not like
well,
I don't like it. It's just like I mean I'm not gonna go, yeah, no. It's
okay,
I
yeah.
I'm not your go-to fashion person, trust me.
Mm,
Like
We're talking
mm-mm.
ourselves right out of our fashion
of
appearance
a
in the
we're,
2027,
we're
2026.
talking
Anyway,
ourselves out of an invite,
yeah, they're
aren't
going to
we?
be like, we don't want you here. Yeah. The third edition. This is the third edition of the Fashion Week. Gonna light up Riyadh, blending style, innovation, and creativity. This event series, they say, serves as a platform for both renowned and emerging designers to showcase their unique visions, with each runway show telling a story of artistic expression. Riyadh Fashion Week promises to deliver an unforgettable experience if it's your thing. Yes. Cool. Yeah.
If it's your thing. So it's organized again by the Fashion Commission, which is part of the Ministry of Culture. It's one of the 11 cultural sector commissions. It is spotlighting both international, as we heard, Vivienne, as well as Stella McCartney, but also homegrown designers. So I've seen on my social media feed people like Rawan Razoni and Shahad Dishil attending, and I'm sure others. I just have not been on my Instagram, but I saw that a little while ago. In addition to the Fashion Week, earlier this week, Riyadh, or Saudi Arabia, launched an $80 million fashion fund to empower local brands and elevate talent globally as well. So it's kind of one of those exciting areas to watch. I know of some designers that have been doing this for decades. It's wonderful to see that there's a platform now for people to really showcase what they're doing. Denab Ahmed, for instance, is one of my favorites. And I think it's really cool just thinking about how the sector has really evolved. I was going to
Yeah.
say one other thing on that, but just like, there's been some other international events that have happened over the past couple of weeks, in addition to also kind of, as they say, conference season starting in Riyadh. So there's a lot of cultural exchange that's happening at the moment. And none of this happens without its controversy in international media. And so I just want to say there's, like I said, when I was at Learn, I get emotional when people tell me they've come to Saudi for the first time. First of all, because they're opening their minds beyond what they may have as a picture of what Saudi Arabia is supposed to be like and what they think it is like in their kind of historical frame of references. They're updating that. They're coming. They're experiencing something new, and I think that it's so important to have a conversation with everybody in the world. That's how peace and security is made. And so I really, really hope that people continue to open their minds and really engage in the cultural dialogue that's possible through these types of cultural events.
Glad you added that. Yes. Agreed. It is conference season. It's here, happy conference season to everybody who is celebrating this year. It's cool. we could have traded this for fashion. Anyway, I want to wrap this up.
Probably.
Kind of a big deal. Yeah.
But
this kind of a big
I
deal.
don't actually, you know what? No. It's not like I know anything about fashion other than who Vivienne Westwood is, but like whatever.
Okay, but of the two of us, right? I mean, like if somebody's gonna be like, I got a fashion question, I'm gonna be pointing both index fingers directly at you. I'm gonna be like, if you want to talk like Levi's jeans and dress shirts, I got you. Belts, golf, whatever, but everything else to you. So that's not really fashion. But anyway, we've got some news in defense, and it's U.S. Saudi defense, the very best kind. And the reason why we wanted to put this in this time is because it is planned. It has been reported that His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, will be visiting the United States sometime in November for high-level talks with President Trump and the Trump administration and others in the United States. And it is not, you're not going out on a limb to assume that a lot of that discussion will be around defense. The kingdom this was reported today by the Financial Times and Reuters, is discussing a defense deal with the United States, which it hopes to seal during that visit I just mentioned, which Saudi would like to be something sort of like what Qatar just got with the United States, which is almost like a mutual defense pact. Of course, that pact is at the executive level of the United States, so it's not a Congress thing. It can go away with another president, et cetera, et cetera. But the deal for such a pact is in discussion, similar to the Qatar thing. And, there isn't a lot of detail. But what I do want to note is that shortly ahead of the visit, once we have firm dates and maybe an itinerary, just any more information, we will do a special show, like a dedicated show to that. As half an American, a full American, we've got some, this is a show about Saudi Arabia's transformation, but America is playing a huge part in it. And then also we're both American. So we're going to do a show based on the MBS visit. We're making a plan for it now. And we want to basically just spend the entire time, when we're not talking fashion or, football, talking about that. It's very significant. Saudi Arabia has long wanted this from the United States. It's then got caught up in regional political dynamics and, was reportedly closed before October 7th, et cetera, et cetera. People already know that, but this would be a huge deal. And, hopefully it comes to pass. But ahead of his visit, we're going to be doing a show just on the visit, everything we know, maybe an interview or two on it. Should be cool. We have a lot of our audiences in the US as well, so there's interest there. Anyway, there is a report that, yes, this may be coming. Inshallah, it does. So, yeah.
Yeah, inshallah. The only thing I have to add was, I ended the fashion segment on, dialogue being a really important part of peace and security, and I'm just gonna stick with the fashion angle. That's definitely it's definitely not what I'm an expert in, but yeah, it's important obviously to really collaborate on security issues. And so this is great. I'm excited to hear about the visit. This will be the second visit, I think. The Crown Prince officially goes on to the United States. So excited to hear more about that, and hopefully contribute to adding a little bit more color around the trip for our listeners.
Should be great. That was a good catch-up episode. I'd rank that like low 9 out of 10 catch-up episode.
I feel like we're a little bit rusty. We probably talked a lot about things people don't care about, but this is the price you have to pay for.
It's the price of admission. But I mean, the beauty is you can just hit there's like a 30-second button, and you can just take that slider, you just drag it to anything you want to hear, or you could just sit back, get yourself some Saudi coffee or a beverage of some sort, and just, take it all in, right? And you're going to get a bunch of information on the transformation. I have to go. I have to move my boat, Dr. Hanaa, off the lift it needs to get pulled out of the water, winterized, serviced, and put into my barn. None of which I'm doing except driving the boat actually over to where it needs to be brought out of the water.
So just go on a leisurely boat ride.
I'm going to go on a boat ride, basically. But the problem is that we've had a ton of, it's really windy here. There's a boat warning out there. So if I don't make it, thanks for doing this show with me. It's been great. Don't touch my stuff after I'm dead. And so I got to roll. But anyway, thank you for a great show. And I'll see you. We're back, by the way. So, look out for more content from us. But
be
nice to see you.
safe and see you soon.
See ya. Ciao.
Bye.